Guys, welcome. Testing. We're kicking off in about 30 seconds. At 20 past 9 GMT. Hey guys, welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Will Sebastian. I'm a pro multi-asset day trader, very popular on TradingView, trade myself and teach people all in the world now how to do the same thing. In this one, we're going to go over cover a lot of things that really you should be looking at if you're trying to make sense of the markets. We've got Fed news, interest rate projections for the first, second, and third year. You've got your Fed monetary policy statement, you've got your interest rate decision as well. That all comes in about 10 hours or 7 o'clock GMT. I suppose that would be 12 midnight if you're looking at it from an EST perspective. So we're going to go over a lot. I'm just going to let everyone in now. I am recording this as well. I'm going to post it elsewhere. I think we're all good for sound. We're all good for visuals. Anyone who's got a question, I'll say this now before we get into it. There's a big, lovely live chat box here. There's big space on the right-hand side of my screen. Now, that is where the questions need to go from your brain onto. Well, thing is with telepathy, I can't read your mind because I can't see you. And you should think even if I could see you, I still probably couldn't read your mind. But nonetheless, just stick it in the chat box. Ask whatever you want. I'm an open book. I can give you a hand. Teach people every day. Also, if you wouldn't mind so kindly pressing the boost button, that would be fantastic. It's great to have people come onto their TradingView account, see a London session. Wow, perhaps he's got a lot of boosts. He knows what he's talking about. He does this every day. Really helped me out. So thanks for that. And of course, if you're sitting there and you're someone who's looking at markets for a while and you want really to know what works and why, and get rid of all the nonsense that you might have picked up elsewhere, in the middle of the screen it says serious about trading, https / after your colon bit.ly / trade WOTT. The banner is in the center at the bottom to get on board with myself. So I think with that, we're going to kick things off and get started. So let's go ahead and do that. I think we're going to do it on gold to start with. And as I said, if you've got any requests in particular, just let me know. This is actually the wrong window. I want my chat box on the left here. So I'll get gold up here. And we'll go from there. So let me just get the stream up here. Let me pause it. Great. Morning, Forex guy 66. I think I know who you are. You might have to specify your first name. But great to see you. Good morning to you too. And thanks to those guys who are now pressing the boost button. If you're watching this on a computer, it's at the top right there. So yeah, let's go. Right, so gold. What are we seeing at the moment? Well, because you're anticipating Fed news, you're getting a real dawdle in the markets, especially gold. It's US dollar based. You can only really measure via this chart gold in terms of US dollars per ounce. So what you've had really is a push up. Now, I did say at this point, it's not too interesting long. You might get a bounce, and you did, but if you didn't take the trade, you didn't lose any money. It really doesn't matter. Oh, hi, Simon. Great to see you. Simon in the chat box is an Academy member. Simon, if you do have questions specifically, send them to me on DM so I can help you in depth. And I'll give you a hand because you'll probably ask me something method related or strategy related, which obviously you've got. So just let me know via DM. I can still answer it because I've got my Discord up. So anyhow, gold, you're dwindling along because of the Fed news. If you wanted to short it, you're too late because you're already 2 red candles in. Okay, and I would say if you want to reshort it or anything along those lines, I would just let things cool off. I would let things rise. I think in this instance, you've got hardly any down push anyway. It wouldn't shock me entirely if you get to this point, but I wouldn't really be interested in shorting anything beforehand. It's just a little bit too early for me specifically. I'm just going to turn a light on because in England, you have I'm sure many of the English men and women in here know the weather is awful. 1 minute ago, it was it was quite visible. Now it's very cloudy and it looks like it's going to be a storm or something like that. So it's a quintessential part of Britain, I think. But anyway, yeah, I'm not looking short on gold unless you can get higher up. I'm willing to wait. I'm not going to dive in. Wouldn't I rather trade something else? All these lovely assets you could trade, FX pairs, global index markets, commodities. Don't sit glued to gold. Lots of people do that. They go, what's gold going to do? I don't care about anything else. I just want to know about gold. Problem with trading one asset is your risk inherently goes up. You're focusing on one thing, all your eggs are in one basket. If it goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. Nonetheless, my bias on gold is short higher up. So New Zealand and AUD, I'm going to get these out of the way first. They are not really things I'm interested in that much, just because of this. Okay, it's very sidewaysy. I should think if you get back up to this level of resistance, okay, very early on there, I think you'll have a problem at this point. I would consider lightly shorting it, and that would be ideal for me. Another good reason why is because of that moving average. Okay, you're popping up to it. There's no real strength on AUD at the moment, so you might find that you get rejection at that point. So that's your AUD. And similarly, New Zealand. I mean, I'm not particularly trading these anyway because of what I said, but there's just a real weakness about them. I mean, they've sloshed down for such a long period of time, all the way from 0.64 to where we are now, and it's just got silly. Okay, it's just gone so far that it's got a bit ridiculous. So I wouldn't really be bothered about it at all unless you can come up to this point. And that is what I'm going to do once we get there. So I'm just flipping onto my mixer so I can sort a few things out. So I wouldn't really like it short unless you can pop up to this nearest MA. You've seen rejection there before, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's where you fall from again. Any entries, they're not going to be desperate at all. It's going to be very spread out and very lazy, because I don't want it short really on a larger scale or a more major scale until you get to places like this. You're clearly not there, and you can see previously what happens when you come to points like where we are now is the market just rebounds to the upside anyway. So basically you're shorting lightly because of the chance of that coming, which is obviously higher. Anyone who's, I just breeze over the FTSE. Anyone who's wondering about the FTSE, I had a member take the same trade as me. I sort of guided him through it a bit. Told him to exit here on early price action. We did that. Off from the fall here, we had double short, so he took profit. I said after that, okay, just leave things off and re-short higher. And I've got new shorts planned higher up. Think you're going to beat that previous high on the FTSE. Don't think it's going to hold weight. You had Goldman Sachs reaffirm their target for the FTSE. So coming up here, I really would like to start looking short at this point. I've got short orders planned because that's going to bring you to Goldman Sachs target. If they think that's the target, surpassing it is probably less likely. Oil, for those of you who thought, you know what, it's coming up and up and up, I'm going to buy it, it's going to make me rich, you've just got slammed. That's why you don't do that. It's a smack on the wrist, hopefully a harsh lesson learned, but just don't buy highs, all right? It's stupid. Let the market do its thing, let it fall. I am only interested in rebuying should you get much lower down. So that's my bias. It comes around 84.85 or around $85 for oil. Okay, so that's my oil bias. S&P, again, lackluster. It's a waiting Fed. I wouldn't be surprised if you do move up with this. I think on much lower time frames, you're getting various reasons for indecision. That's why you don't have much going on. But from a weekly perspective, long term, like I said, I think you'll come down. Would I like to enter it now? Probably not, because you don't have a reasonable price. You've come down a lot. I would probably say with the S&P, if you hadn't entered it, just let it move either to its extreme top or slightly lower down. That's all I would say with S&P. My bias very long term is short still, and you would have seen me post about that. But anything up here, similar to your FTSE and most other indexes, is short zone for me. The market is just too high, okay? And that's the reason for it. Once the market comes so high up, you've got tons of market value and you should be shorting, okay? So indexes, UK 100, S&P, probably the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, everything higher up, I'll like it more short. If you had it short, I would kill it off for gains and I would just re-short higher. That's really what I would do. Euro yen, CAD yen, AUD yen, pound yen, Swiss yen, they're all shorts. You should not be buying these FX pairs. You shouldn't be buying your yens. Why shouldn't you be buying your yens? Because if you wanted to buy it, you should have done it there, or there. Okay? Now is not the time to buy, it's the time to sell. For example, with the euro yen, this is really what you're going to have to go off in terms of entries and price action. So anything higher up, I would like it there. And I think more or less that's the same for various yen pairs. CAD yen, the same. I think you'll beat that high and I would look short slightly higher up. AUD yen, I think the same thing will happen. I don't think the yens are really done yet, but I'm willing to scale in short anyway. Pound yen, I've said for a while, I think you'll get up there. Swiss yen, we've shorted various times, but I really like the Swiss yen short, believe it or not. The reason why is, again, if you want to buy, do it there, do it there, do it there, do it there, and do it there. Do not do it there. That is suicide zone. If you buy, the price goes, woo, you're going to get absolutely cremated. Don't do it. Okay? So your yens, to be clear, I have a clear short bias and I'm reflecting off much, much further back previous price action for my entries. And I'm looking for entry confirmation as well. If you remember, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you won't. So the banner in the middle will help you get on board. Right, there's tons of guys in here now. There's loads of people in here. Press the boost button up here. You know, I haven't pushed it, so it's not refreshed. I haven't refreshed the stream, that's why it's 0. Smash that boost button now, guys. Ask me something like Simon, an Academy member, has, and I can help you out. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is, who it is, where it is. I don't care. Whatever you want to ask, just do it. So pairs like the pound, I actually really, really like for longs. I think you'll get a significant swing move via your pounds. I think you may drip slightly lower, and thus I've got further DCA orders in. I was already long, I'm still long, and I will continue to be long as the price falls. So you're coming past on your weekly the 20 MA. Your 40 is still a long way off, as is your 100 and 200. But what I really like about various pound pairs is the fact that if you look onto your monthly, you are coming to early levels of resistance. Just below that, 188 going on 189 is further levels of key support, to net support a second. So I would say if you haven't bought it yet, again, you can hold off. Don't be shy. Just remember, you do not have to be trading everything all the time. You can wait for a level to be hit. A lot of people get into the trap where they think, okay, well, I need to trade everything now because if I don't, I'll miss out. Don't be like that, right? Just wait. There's much better zones existing below. If you don't get the trade, you don't get the trade. You don't actually, people get a misconception where they think they lose something by not taking a trade. It's just not true. You don't lose anything. You just don't take the trade. You can't lose anything if you don't have the risk in the market. So your pound AUD and many of your pound pairs I like lower. Pound New Zealand I just took long before the stream. It's coming to that very early MA. Okay, it would affirm that continuous trend, but nonetheless it's a key price action zones, key support, and I'm looking for a bounce. So I am long all pounds, I am short all yens, except for the pound yen, to stop trading against myself. Pound CAD is great as well. I really like the pound CAD. Again, check your monthly, and you've got slightly lower down for key price action zones. If you haven't bought, I would let it run a bit, 1651. And if you haven't bought it yet, like I said, I'd let it fall. If you're already in, I would DCA further. I've got further orders planned for those levels. Can I look at the NASDAQ on the daily and 4 hours? Well, to be honest, if you're going to trade anything, you need to be looking at it on all time frames. It's what my members all do. They're taught to conduct multi-time frame analysis frequently. NASDAQ is the same as I said for all global indexes. You've had a fall. The fall has not done much, so you should have exited early on early price action, early rejection on lower time frames if you're experienced. Okay, like I was describing, my member did. I wouldn't be surprised if you get back up here. If you do get back up there, I would just be encouraged to reshort. It's just in line with high market value for shorts. I don't think long term you're going to hold to the upside. So daily short up top, 4 hour is the same. I know that looks messy, but essentially what I'm saying is if you come up here, okay, then I would like it short at that point, right? So about this point here, I wish there was a cartoony arrow you could use. There are arrows, but you know, do. Anyway, the point is 15,500 for shorts on the NASDAQ. I think your global indexes will rise. It might be the case that the news today, the Fed, etc., causes that. They're saying they're going to halt rates, which obviously is slightly more beneficial for the economy because the rates go up, borrowing goes up, and everything's more difficult. Dollar yen I really like short. You've got early price rejection now. You can see that. I'm short. I shorted it yesterday. Again, look at the market value. Look at the long-term market. What does that mean to you? You've got this enormous rally all the way from 1276 to 148. It's time to short. Look at your stochastic oscillator. It's not the case that if your stochastic oscillator is high, the market will fall every single time. That's just not how things work. Okay. But it does mean that the market is likely too high or very high, and hence you're looking for a fall. So you shouldn't be buying it. You should be short. It's very, very simple economics trading. Pound dollar, I'm long. Again, like your pound AUD, your pound CAD, I think there's a chance you could trickle. If that comes on the Fed news, then I would be encouraged to take it long if it dips quickly. Have the markets already allowed for interest rates? Well, everyone knows really more or less where they're going and what's happening. So yes, but I would say the main focus at the moment is the Fed. So it depends what central bank you're really referring to, Simon. I can see your question. But I wouldn't look into that too much. I mean, I would just be looking long at key price action zones. But I would say, yes, they've already allowed for it. Because you've had this fall on practically everything but the dollar. The dollar's risen in value. I would say everyone knows they were going up. Everyone knows when they're going to be halted. So it's priced in pretty quickly. I would say with things like that, when you know what they're going to do because they're releasing it publicly, you can't get ahead of anyone else. All you can do is take market value on a fall. So basically, in short, I think the pounds, they've got slight bits of room. The euro dollar, I'm still long. If it comes lower under there, again, like your pound dollar, I wouldn't be completely shocked. So if you are trading things like this long, don't go nuts, don't go crazy. You've got market value where you are because you've come off from a long fall. That's why I like this long. But my overall consensus for today is simply if you get slightly lower, it would be very ideal to re-enter. And I wouldn't be shocked if that occurs. So yeah, I would plan future longs on the euro dollar and the pound dollar lower, the pound AUD, the pound CAD, pound New Zealand I'm in long already. Global indexes, I think, may pop up before they fall. Gold have gone over. I'm not interested in shorting until it gets much higher. Oil, I'm not interested in buying until it gets much lower. If you took it short, you could lock in gains now. I would suggest doing that. Okay, so put your stop loss above the 5-minute trend. DAX, you're re-pushing up like you are on your FTSE, etc. The DAX, I like short higher up too. Okay, so in summary, I should probably write it out really. I'm going to write it on this gold chart. So, okay, so let's do something spaced out. So, gold, short higher, oil, long, lower. GBP, long, on slight fall. Hopefully impulse. What I mean by that is if the news drops it quickly, you would look for a bounce. Euro, long slightly lower. That goes for euro dollar, euro CAD, euro New Zealand. I'm not trading AUD or New Zealand very much. And the yens, what did I say? Oh, there we go. Just getting a spam call. Okay. And I'll put do not conflict at the bottom because what I mean by that is if you are finding that, for example, you're getting long the pound AUD and short the pound yen, you know, you're trading against yourself slightly. And it's the same in many instances. They do move differently, but I don't really like particularly getting in on the same thing at the same time. There's tons of people in here. If you're coming in, do press the boost button. It's up here on the right or it's down there on the left. It really helps me out. Thanks for doing that. If you are just coming in and you're serious about trading, use the link in the middle of the screen and you can get on board. Please do ask a question. An Academy member, Simon, here has asked a few. Just pop it in the chat box and I can give you a hand with whatever it is you need to know. So this is my overall bias. Now, in regards to the actual Fed news, like I said, the consensus is that they'll leave their rates unchanged, 5.5%, and they may hike in November. Okay, so you'll find that when you get nearer to that time, things may change. But mainly what you're looking for is interest rate projections later on, and you're looking for comments as well. Often, and in many cases, you find the monetary policy statement, when they actually start talking about what they're going to do, is what actually moves the market. Because all people care about is what's going to happen in the future. So at the earliest point of convenience, the earliest time that they'll be told is when they start to think, okay, well, perhaps things are changing here. So that's really where you're at. Now, the other thing I would really lean on, and I say it a lot, lots of people, do this for some reason. People come to me all the time, even my members sometimes, and they say, Will, well, if you look at what the Fed is saying, they're going to do this, that, and the other, so I'm going to short this before the news. Now, the problem is with that, is the news, even if you think it's going to do what you think it's going to do, it can go the opposite way. The price can move down if you think it's going to go up. Or in reality, if what they said should normally put the price up, it can still go down and vice versa. So there's no point in being an honorary economist. There's no point in making yourself, some person who can just predict news events every time. So don't guess it. And before that Fed news comes out, do not sit there and think, wow, you know what? Perhaps I should have studied economics at university. Maybe it's ingrained in my DNA and I'm going to sell. Because even worse is you might find that the price does go your way once because you guessed what the news was going to do and you get a false sense of security. That happens all the time. That's normally what causes people to lose all their money in their trading account because they make a good trade and they think, oh my word, that was amazing. They get the high hit and then it all goes wrong. So be careful. Someone's asked, do you find any correlation between DAX and oil? You can Google that. It will tell you. But in short, if you open oil today, it's down. If you open DAX today, it's up. So I think your question is is answered there, really. But like I said, things like that, you can just Google it. It wouldn't be a secret if that was the case. I never trade in that way, but nonetheless, I'm looking short up here. Sometimes you find if oil comes up, the FTSE does, but again, it's not something you can particularly predict because it's not always the case. So if you're referring to oil companies within the index, it's not always the case that because oil comes up, the price comes up, and because oil comes down, the price comes down. So no. And like I said, if any time you're wondering, does something correlate or whatever, just Google it because it's not going to be a secret if it does. You won't be the first person to work that out. Um, it's the same with most things, unless you have a concrete strategy. So say that a lot, I know, but it's the truth. Dollar Swiss, I didn't go over yet. I said the Swiss yen I would be short, so I wouldn't consider shorting this at the same time. Don't like the Swiss yen particularly. Someone did ask me a while back if it was long here. I said yes, technically it's a long. I would say if you had it long, you could start to kill off for gains. I wouldn't consider shorting this until it's 0.97 area. That would be more ideal. So yeah, I mean, I've given my bias on all different assets. Like I said, if you don't have trading plans and you're just using this as signals, you will lose all your money. I'm afraid it just does not work. Signals do not and will not ever work because if we take the same trade, I'll be out of it before or after you are, and I'll be managing my risk if it goes wrong. And if you can't do either of those things, you'll just get stuck. Um, so yeah, I think pounds you'll get long lower, yens you'll get short higher. Global indexes you'll also get short higher. There's still loads of people in here. If you're coming in, the question box is on the right. Ask something, something at least. Doesn't matter what it is. Pop it in there. Press the boost. I'll answer it. So I can't see anything at the moment. I'll give a minute for that, and we'll see what happens. I didn't talk too much about your euro pairs, did I? I think your euro New Zealand's looking slightly weak on a push. You did have really key price action on your weekly, but it wouldn't shock me entirely if you come slightly under here, and it's the same for your euro dollar. Okay, that wouldn't be a shocker for me at all. And I would rescale in long. I've got long orders at that point. Euro ord is the same. Doesn't look particularly strong to me. Mainly, I would just wait for news. If you're trading today, the best thing you can do is plan orders ahead of time and just wait for things to happen. Because you are getting to a lot of key points here, and if you're not planning for them, when the market does move, it can get really, really hairy really, really quickly. I am Mr. Risk Management, if you like. That's all I really care about a lot. On your weekly, though, you know, I mean, it's the same for your euro dollar, euro CAD, euro New Zealand. I think there's a chance they may trickle lower, but nonetheless, you do have long side value because you are long where you've risen up many times in the past. Okay, so that's what's significant. But I think, what time do you place your trades, Haley? Thanks for that question. That's a good one. What time of day do I place my trades? I place my trades all day, and I open and close them all day. But generally, they are in between the UK and US trading times, mostly from 7 a.m. UK to 6 p.m. UK. But I do sometimes exit trades after that time. So basically, in the London session into the US session, all day, all sort of daylight hour times. That's when you get the most movement, simply put. So I would say my general conclusion about the markets today is to wait, but do not guess the Fed news. Let the prices of the markets move to key levels. Set your orders. Don't get desperate. Let the market move. and then get long and then get short. Okay. The best thing you can do is not rush in with a ridiculous size and get absolutely cremated. It's not going to work as a long-term strategy, and impatience doesn't work as a long-term strategy. So I think that brings us to the end. If it has helped a lot, press the like. If you are dead serious about trading and you want to get things right and day trade like myself for income, use the link in the middle of the screen, https://bit.ly/trade WOTT. As soon as you're on board, you'll be able to ask me anything you want, anytime you want, and you'll have my full video series. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope that helps as always. Have a nice week. Trade safe today and don't over leverage. See you in the next one.